お昼からプチュプチュ切れたりしながら大丈夫だもんって言ってたのにやっぱりダメだ。みんなご迷惑をかけしました。ちょっとのほ本回戦ちゃんで行くからぐるっちゃうかもしれないけどやってこ出勤時行くからやだミルキーが追いかけてきてる。びっくりした。みんなラブありがとう待っててくれて。やだ、茨城にも轟いてる。あ、茨城のみんなラブ。いいえ、そしてね、のがちゃん、ちゃまりちゃん、ママ、エビちゃん、ねむきちゃん、しれるちゃん、ななちゃん、ルルちゃん、ワクワク、モーブおじさん、ななちゃん、そんな感じ。あ、ペペペちゃん、ムイチキーちゃん、ありがとう。みんなたそがれちゃんもだ。みんな待っててくれて嬉しかった。ミルキー、インターネットちゃんがおへそ曲げちゃう前に行こう。みんな出勤。メルキー一つにゴールデンウィークはないよ。出勤します。どこあった出勤です。ちょっと待って、お水飲ませて。走ってきたから疲れる。開発ね、ないかメロキー、今日はよくわかってないけど、これ何回もやられてれるんだね。メロキー、だけテストの時もやられてれたの。今何時？9時？9時30分？行き過ぎでる。なんかしっかり合わせてく。いくよ、もう31分になる。あれバッチリじゃない？これさっき出てこなかった。なんかセカンドテストでもこれ出てきてびっくり っちだよ。行くよみんな。1回目はちゃんとタイトル画面に行ったの。始める前にちょっと一言いいですか？いいよ。手短にね、押してるから。あとみるき、始めますツイートしてなかった。ちょっと待って、今してくる。遅れちゃったけど。よね。始めます。オッケー、これでオッケー。メロキツイートしました。何系なんだろうね。一応面白いって書いてあったから怖くはなさそうだけど。俺言われてる。ゲームを起動した時に2回ともちゃんと時計を設定してくれてありがとうございます。いいよ、全然大丈夫。でも1回の設定で間に合うようにしてくれる？ほとんどの人はこのステップを真剣に捉えないんです。彼らはただ12時のままにして切り上げてしまうのです。メロキ優秀ってこと？でもあなたは実際に時間を合わせてくれましたし、私はそれに感謝してるんです。いいよ、かわいいね。それってあなたがこの体験を大切にしてちゃんと注意を払ってくれてるっていうことだと思うんです。そうだね。メロキ、みんなと出勤頑張るもん。あなたが合わせた時間が正しいかどうか知る術はないの？そうだ、こうしましょうよ。あなたは協力的ですし、これ何もゲーム始まってんの？どうせだったら次にこのゲームを起動してこの画面が表示されたらあなたの一番好きな時間を設定してください。ちょっと待って、メルキの一番好きな時間を知りたがってる？さりげないふりしてメルキのこと知りたいんだ。かわいい。どうぞセットしたい時間を好きに選んで、正しい時間でなくても構いませんよ。あなたがちゃんと協力してくれたからですよ。何特別ぶって。本当はゲームちゃんの方がメルキの好きな時間知りたいんじゃないの？リーチャーちゃんね。のぞきちゃまいらっしゃい。よし、じゃあそろそろゲームに戻りましょうか。誰だったの？開発者じゃん？メルキスじゃない？メルキちゃんの好きな時間知りたい。どうしても知りたいって言って。必要にメルキの好きな時間聞き出そうとしてきた。ちょっとおじさんの匂いするよ。素直になれない。おじさんの匂い？じゃあみんな行こう。メルキセッティング大丈夫なはず。みんな見て。どういうこと？エンドレス8始まる？これロケたちゴールデンウィークに閉じ込められちゃうの？みんな大丈夫？じゃあ行くよ。エンドイズネバーザエンド。
This is the story of a man named Stanley.
スタンリーじゃん。
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for
向
this
いて
job.
るんだスタンレーじゃね
Stanley was happy.
え。いいね、向いてるお仕事
And then
につ
one
け
day,
て。
something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
それがメロキってこと？指令が入らなくなったから見に行こう。なんだか不気味。上にも電気つけてよ。ゆうべしたまいらっしゃい。みんな大丈夫？音大丈夫と？おじさんの声にメロキの声負けてない？ちょっと待って。マウスちゃん向いて。よいしょ。メロキの声ちょっと大きくしちゃう？あ、やだ、大丈夫だったよ。サービスで大きくしておきました、メロキの声。メロキの大ボリュームなラブボイスお楽しみに。じゃあ行こうみんな。普通に歩ける？あ、いい感じ、ありがとう。鉛筆も削り終えたし。じゃあ行く？おやすみだ。みんなおやすみなの
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
会議室？ちょっと感度良すぎじゃない？ちょっと低くしてこう。視野角感度ちょっと下げてこう。これくらいでどう？もうちょっと下げる？さあいいかい？あ、いい感じ。来たまいらっしゃい。ロキ誰もいない会社来ちゃった。でも散らばってる。何かあったんじゃない？会議室はどこ？見てみんなパソコンつけっぱなしだよ。出勤はしたんじゃない？みんなコーヒーみたいのも置いてあるし。確かに意味深な。それなんでみんなバラバラなの？人が書いてある？どういうこと？みんな何があったの？置きっぱなし。お疲れ様です。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
なんで過去形で言うの？これが噂に聞くこの会社の無茶ぶり？入りましたって何？おじさん未来からかけてきてる
？This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
怖い。従業員ラウンジに入り、 なんとかかんとかを、なんとかかんとかはこのおじさんは誰？ちょっと怒ってた声。
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
またナレーションしてくる。誰かいたはず、絶対に。
Yes, really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have mysteriously vanished, here you sit looking at these chairs and some paintings. Really worth it.
まあいい部屋だね。足のみたいらっしゃい。
At this point, Stanley's obsession with this room bordered on creepy and reflected poorly on, but at last he'd had enough of the amazing room and took the first open door on his left to get back to business.
最初の段の左側を選びました？最初の部屋戻るの？これ何？これ何の部屋？何かを設計してる
？Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years ago.
誰おじさん、感じ悪いね。ワーニング。そうか？でもここは設計図？何の会社なの？こうじゃな。嘘ついちゃダメなの？嘘ついちゃうと？止まっちゃうの？どういうこと？あの時嘘ついてないよ。何かなと思って入っただけ。なんじゃ気をつける。怖い。大丈夫？おじさん怖いことしない目のよけに。こんなところにコップ？カードがないと入れない。事故を装ってロケットスタンレーちゃんを消したりしない？飛ぶな？動いてる？カオちゃんから飛んじゃうと死んじゃうの？
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. I'm not asking for me. I'm asking for her.
彼女のため？誰
？This is it, Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
スタンリーちゃんの彼女さん？おじさん左のドア入んなかったら怒ってるの？これ入っていい？おじさん。また閉めんの？閉めない。ここ何？イケアの倉庫？あの子たちイケア就職したの？何これ？おじさんこれ何？他の道ないの？怖いよ。ジャンプできない。 ゃない？行くよ。
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this. To reach out to her. If you can truly place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
おじさんの言うとおりにしなかったから怒ってるよ。
Oh, Stanley, is that you? Hold on, sweetie. Sorry to keep you waiting. I'm just pulling the bread out of the oven. All right. Okay, there we go. All right, now, I want you to come in and tell me all about your day.
Gotcha. Oh, come on. Did you actually think you had a loving wife who'd want to commit their life to you? I'm trying to make a point here, Stanley. I'm trying to get you to see something. Come inside. Let me show you what's really going on here.
お兄さん、騙したみるきよ。ここ何？お部屋？素敵。何ここ？職場じゃなかったの
This is a very sad story about the death of a man named Stanley.
何この？なんですここにソファーが？おはようございます。427。プレス F。オンにはキーボー？キーボーどこ？メルキーのキーボーのこと？
Stanley is quite a boring fellow. He has a job that demands nothing of him, and every button that he pushes is a reminder of the inconsequential nature of his existence.
何？エッチ？エッチ無理だよ。何言ってんのおじさん。メルキーエッチなんて教えない。正常アイドルだもん。どうしよう。一番正常なボタンを押そう。エッチの反対。エッチの反対。エッチダメです。エッチの反対じゃないけど、メルキーは正常派、ラブアイドル。愛をおしまい。あ、エッチじゃないとダメなんだけど。見ないでほんとこっちエッチをします。
Look at him there, pushing buttons, doing exactly what he's told to do. Now he's pushing a button. Now he's eating lunch. Now he's going home. Now he's coming back to work. One might even feel sorry for him, except that he's chosen this life.
今度はアナは押しましょう。
But in his mind, in his mind he can go on fantastic adventures. From behind his desk, Stanley dreamed of wild expeditions into the unknown, fantastic discoveries of new lands. It was wonderful. And each day that he returned to work was a reminder that none of it would ever happen to him.
テレビは愛だ。テレビラブ OK。
And so he began to fantasize about his own job. First, he imagined that one day while at work, he stepped up from his desk to realize that all of his co-workers, his boss, everyone in the building had suddenly vanished off the face of the earth. The thought excited him
興
terribly.
奮しちゃってる。少年たちと過ごすために J ちょっとやめて不穏なこと言えの。ちょっとセンシティブだよ。
So he went further. He imagined that he came to two open doors and that he could go through either. At last, choice. It barely even mattered what lay behind each door. The mere thought that his decisions would mean something was almost too wonderful to behold.
何これ？何が起きてんの？幻見てる？川又ちゃんいらっしゃい。来てくれてありがとう。夕食の準備ある？
As he wandered through this fantasy world, he began to fill it with many possible paths and destinations. Down one path lay an enormous round room with monitors and mind controls. And down another was a yellow line that weaved in many directions. And down another was a game with a baby. And he called it The Stanley Parable.
スタンリーパラボこのゲームの話のこと？子供たちに読み聞かせのためにジェット？なんなのこれ？大きなためらっしゃい。ジェットしよう。
It was such a wonderful fantasy, and so in his head he relived it again, and then again, and again, over and over, wishing beyond hope that it would never end, that he might always feel this free. Surely there's an answer down some new path, mustn't there be? Perhaps if he played just one more time.
何これメロキ、精神攻撃を受けてるおじさんから。あんたの妻にラブを伝えるためにペイ。ひどいさっき奥さんなんていないって言ったのに。いや、ペイをします。
But there is no answer. How could there possibly be? In reality, all he's doing is pushing the same buttons he always has. Nothing has changed. The longer he spends here, the more invested he gets. The more he forgets which life is the real one.
言われたボタンを押す仕事。言われたボタンを押す仕事。
And I'm trying to tell him this. That in this world he can never be anything but an observer. That as long as he remains here, he's slowly killing himself. But he won't listen to me. He won't stop. Here, watch this. Stanley, the next time the screen asks you to push a button, do not do it.
押しちゃいけないの？誰を信じる？ロキはお仕事のしすぎで頭やられちゃったの？おじさんを信じる？おじさん。押さないで待ってればいいの？おじさん。ここが食器？おじさんこれ押すしかないの？おじさん怖いよね圧が。おじさんはスタンレーちゃんを助けようとしてんの？それともいじめてるの？とりあえず出勤してみる？
You see? Can he just not hear me? How can I tell him in a way that he'll understand that every second he remains here, he's electing to kill himself? How can I get him to see what I see? How can I make him look at himself?
もうそうだったってこと？おじさんは何？スタンレーちゃんの頭の声とか？守護霊ちゃん？スタンレーちゃん守ろうとしてんの？おじさんワイ押していいの？何も質問しないためにワイ？この画面のおじいちゃんはスタンリーちゃんを閉じ込めようとしてる？誰を信用したらいいの？でも他のボタンも押せないし。他のボタンも押せない。
I suppose I can't, not in the way I want him to. But I don't make the rules. I simply play to my intended purpose, the same as Stanley. We're not so different, I suppose. I'll try once more to convey all this to him. I'm compelled to. I must. Perhaps, well, maybe this time he'll see. Maybe this time. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried again, and Stanley pushed a button. And I tried.
どういうこと？スタンレーちゃんは言いなりになることに慣れすぎて命も投げ出しちゃったの？お仕事のしすぎで脳をやられちゃったってこと？じゃあおじさんは 助けようとしてくれた？これ第二の人生？もう一回言ってみる。おじいさんを無視していつもと同じ指示通り働いたらお命取られちゃった。これまだ続いてんの？おじい
All of
さ
his
ん。
co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
おじいさん戻ってきた。おじいさんは味方なの？確かに自分自身説ありえるよね。ロキ、そんなつもりなかったけど、おじさんと言うこと違うのしちゃったらしいから、今度は従う？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
じゃあいいよ。左？入るよ。おじさんの言う通りしてみよう。何も言ってこない。さっきと同じ。会議室だ。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
普通じゃない。おじさんも普通だし。普通の会社だ。会議室に入って誰もいないから、上司のところに行ってみるって。誰スライド動かしたの？誰かいんの？自動モード？大丈夫？この会社の人ちゃんと働いてんの？おじさんがドア閉めてくれんの？ありがとね。おじさん入るよ。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
わかった。上へ。あ、疲れ目に聞く。大丈夫？またメンタルやられてないこれ？それとも何、上司だけ異様に高待遇なのこの会社？エグゼクティブ？なんて読めるの？バスルームあんの？エッチ部屋ってこと？チュケスタンリーちゃんが働いてるとこと全然違う。あ、グー！パンダちゃん。パンダちゃんに何してんの？なんて高い天井。かわいいようなパンダちゃん。エレベーター？地球を司るネクタイおじさん。こっちは
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number. 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this.
2845? でも知らないの？高いお酒。
Stanley just sat around twiddling his thumbs. Trying to input anything on the device was useless, since he could never possibly know that the combination was 2845.
2845なること知らない。知らない。
2845.
知らないんじゃなかったの？入れろってこと？
Forgot, but it turns out that the panel's emergency override kicked in, and the door just opened all by itself, and Stanley got the hell along with the story. Well, whoop-de-doo.
地獄？えらいこっちゃ？何これ、ホーンテッドマンション？何これ？おじさん何これ？怖いですよ。何これ？またイケアの中華行くの？ちょっとえらいこっちゃですよ。赤くて怖いよおじさん。何これ？落ちたら危ないんじゃない？おじさんライトとかないの？両手目らしちゃい。あそこ入るの？おじさん喋ってよ。降りるよ。乗れるんだ。ここやめるけどな、開いてんのかと思った。落ちるよ。
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
危ない。これ何なの？気になるよね。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
これさっきおじさんが言ってたやつだ。マインドコントロール。これは現実なの？今度こそ大丈夫？出口あるじゃん。逃げたいけどおじさんここ入ってくって言ったよね。どっちが正解？今回はおじさんに従ってみる？入って大丈夫かな？さっきなんかマインドコントロールでやられちゃって命なくなったから。そうだよね。今回はおじさんの言う通りにする。今回だけだよおじさん。こんなとこにミルキーを連れてきて何するつもり？監視されてる。何これ？思ってたようなマインドコントロール施設じゃない。何このかわいいボタン。これ何？予約書？おじいさんこれ何？宇宙UFO？
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
さんにもいなくなっちゃったの？これは何？監視カメラ？さっきのは照明だったな。今度はカメラオフ？
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
スタンリーって何番だっけ？ 4いくつかじゃない？この辺？あれじゃない？あの真ん中の方489だっけ？あっちにも続いてる。はずきちゃまいらっしゃい。なるけ謎のおじさんに導かれてマインドコントロール施設来た。怖いじゃん。発射させられんの大丈夫？おいしいよ。
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
研究されてたってこと？研究対象だったんだ。ここ職場じゃない。試験体だったの？クビになってる子いる？ここが施設じゃない。エロケたちコントロールされてたんだ。さっきみたいに。
No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
さっきモニターにファイヤーって書いてあったクビになってる子いた一人。もしかしてさっきのメロンキー？何ついたの
？But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
スタンリーちゃんの反乱？マインドコントロール施設を破壊するの？退職だ。入れんの？これは何？コンソール？1、2？押しちゃった？ 1番から押す？聞いてみる？確かにクビになっちゃった子はどこに行ったの？5番。もしかしてこれ順番にボタンを押さなきゃいけないとかあるの？赤いボタンもある？とりあえず行ってみよう。ここが会社の中枢？
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
ロキたち、スタンリーちゃんを解放してみよう。 ペロキゲームにコントロールされてる？おじさんじゃなくて、とりあえず今回はおじさんの言いなりになる。行くよ。あ、間違えた。オフ、ちょっと待って、オフです。おじさんどうなっちゃったの？メロケたち。
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door.
これ本物？本当？本当に外なのこれ？スクリーンとかじゃないの
？Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Happy だ。おじさん、メロケたと幸せに導いてくれた。スタンリーちゃんは自分で解放させた。戻ってきたじゃん。おじさん何夢見せたの？夢をってもう一回行くよ。おじさんが言ってた通り終わったメロケたち。納豆だよね。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
おじさんがさっき、これマルチエンドいくつもあるみたい。メロキちょっともうちょっと探ってみるよ、いろいろ。おじさんの言う通り、みんながなんでいなくなっちゃったのか気になる。今2つ見たから、この2つ合わせて、ここがこの番号のついた社員ちゃんたちをマインドコントロール研究してるの間違いなさす。じゃあおじさんは誰でみんなはどこに行ったの？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
みんなちょっと途中まで同じとこ行って、エスケープ出てみよう。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
ここ開かないよね。青いお部屋だ。なんて広いの。I've got the feeling. なんて読むの？モミツ or staring? But not you, of course. Sorry, that ラブリーパース？ラブリーな目的？どういうこと？これただの手洗い？手洗っとく？これ外の世界じゃないよね。英語わかんないよね。こっちもさ、パンダさんの部屋もこれあった。触ってみる？あ、こう乗る？おじさん食ってくなはい。なに？乙姫の音する？ごゆっくりどうぞな。ロケもうトイレしたから大丈夫だよ。どこに連れてってくれんの？お水飲むよ。おいしい。快適なエレベーター。おいしいお水。どこまで連れてかれんの？ウキウキだね。ちょっと長くて不安になってきた。止めてください。しゃがめる？しゃがんで待っとこう。おじさん乗ってるじゃん。おじさん好きなのこの歌？みんなおじさんの歌はこう楽しんでね。おじさん長くないこれ？本当にエレベーターの音なの？おじさんまだ？何これ光って見えるの？おじさんワオワオ言ってる？メロキーも実は移動してない説を持ってた。おじさん何これ？下もしてみる？おじさんの茶番だ。おじさんの茶番に付き合わされてるよ。これ上下上下 AB とかない？おじさんの趣味の部屋じゃない？おじさんジュークボックスだ。おります？もう結構ですよ。楽しみました。乗ってもおじさんが何も言わないなんて変だと思った。ちょっとおじさんの鼻歌部屋でした。じゃあ行く？今度はボタンを押してみる
？Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret pin number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
ここ変わんないんだ。押すと褒められるし、押さないとおじさんが勝手に開けるんだ。上押してみる。上押したのに下動いたじゃん。おじさんが押したんでしょ、ここ。これさっきのとこと同じ？あ、痛い！静電気が激しすぎる。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
逃げてみよう。
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
またやられちゃうの？じゃあ戻るとどうなるの？
But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for.
どうしてもこっちに入れたいんだ。
Nope, still on board with death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
何ここ？これ穴じゃない？焼却炉みたいなことじゃないよね。怖いけど行こうよみんな。飛び降りちゃった？あ、よかった。何でも落ちてる。
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
しゃがんで回避できないのこれ。
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly. どういうこと？助かった？
トル
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
何この部屋お姉ちゃん誰
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
スタンレーちゃんがスタートをしていたとき、スタンレーちゃんはもう亡くなっていたあの絵たちだ風景が模型スタンレーちゃんのパソコンオフィスのレイアウトこれがエスケープもしかしてこれが本当のトゥルーエンドスタンレーちゃんはスタンレーちゃんの人生から抜け出してミルキーになれたのそしてミルキーは今ゲーム制作の展示場にいるのこういうのもあるのこれはボタンだ音がするのこれはオフィスのパソコンでソリティアやってるデータベースクレジットオフィスメンテナンスルームメタ世界に来たの怖い誰かいるのタイマーだ電話に出ないと違うエンディング見たい会議室ここ来てないんじゃないレバーこれも知らない予告編だ2012年公開そういえばこれはこの元になった10年前のゲームに確か新しいエンドを2つくらい入れたデラックスロードどうやって出んのこの美術館に取り込められちゃった音怖いですまだ全容は見えないよね同じお部屋3つある経年変化してんの Are you gay? 男の子好きだよ。何？もしかしてこれがメール？ナレーターへの質問メール。かわいい。ナレーターちゃんにあなたゲイって聞いてる子いる？かわいい。好みだったんじゃない？こんなシーンあんの？お金にまみれてるよ。メロキーたちの知らない。こんなのあんの？エイリアンと戦うの？ちょっと待って、これあんまり見ない方がいいんじゃない？早く出よう。ネタバレの宝庫だ。どうしたの？オフィス。ここも右側も知らない。これは何？
Stanley stood on the roof. Stanley pushed the big red button.
2年間の開発中3回に分けて録音？これはボツになったおじさんのボツボイスだって。
He pushed the number 9. Stanley walked over the bridge.
おじさんのボツボイス。リスニングルーム。あ、見かけちゃんもいらっしゃい。はっちゃりやってありがとう。
Stanley pushed the big
ちょっとおじさんもういいよ。メロキーたち。ゲーム開発者ちゃんの美術館に迷い込んじゃった。フリーダムエンド。さっきのやつ？メロキーたちどうやって戻るの？
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free.
自由になりたい。彼ら。ここでお部屋に戻れる？また。あれ？ちょっと待って。ゲームオフ？終わっちゃう？本当に。
Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another?
誰のこと？
No,
おじさ
perhaps
ん？
not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Push escape and press quit. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let... 止めなきゃいけなかったんだ。ゲーム終わらせなきゃいけなかったんだ。ゲーム終わらせるのが一番の出口ってこと？身も蓋もな。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
こっちはいけないの？さっきのお姉さんは何なの？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he
疑っ
entered
て
the
誰
door on
と
his
誰
left.
のこと？とりあえずまた右行ってみる？
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
とりあえずラウンジ行って。
Wow. Yes. This room.
It's wow.
What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley had taken this detour on his way to the meeting room. Life without having experienced this room was now too horrible even to consider. But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
最初の左のドア？ロキさっきまっすぐ行って怒られたよね。あっちに行ったら精神崩壊が待ってた。今度こっち行ってみる
？And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
押してみよう。おじさんそんな怒んないね。
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go,
どうしたのおじさん。
from here, it's, left.
どうしたのおじさん。急にヘド持って何があんの？怖いじゃん。ずっとハキハキ喋ってたのに。あ、遊びちゃいなっしゃい。あ、じゃあやる今日でつーちゃんも。おじさん入るよ。あ、ごめん、ジロちゃんもおかえり。メロキー、職場に閉じ込められてる。
Oh, no. No, it's to the right. My mistake.
なんでおじいちゃんと意地悪やめてよ。何？ロキちゃんに意地悪して。もっと下顔見たいとかどういうこと？困りますやめて。左って言ったよね。あ、マーキーちゃんもいらっしゃい。ロキもおじいちゃんと職場だけ。
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
なんか調べてる？ちょっとおじさんしっかりしてよ。
Right, left, down,
調べてる？
right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
全然違うじゃん。大丈夫だ、ほんと。なんか見たことないこれ。お車？お車は見たことないかも。降りてみる？大丈夫？おじいさん。怖い音流すのやめてよ。ここにつながんの？無理やりじゃない？しかももう電気がついてる。
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes.
いいよネタバレして。
Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
ちょっと無理やりじゃん、おじいちゃん。だってあそこのドアおじいさんが開けたんだよ。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
今の一瞬で呼吸整えたの？おじさん慌てすぎだよ。みんなじゃ右行って今度はお電話出られない？
Wait, what?
ちょっと
No,
バグ？
No, I restarted. I swear I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Well, did something
大体みんなそう言うからね、何もしてないけ
Stanley,
ど
did
な
you
んかあっ
change
たんです
anything when we
っ
were
て。
back in that room with all the monitors?
え、
Did
何
you
も変え
move
て
the
ないよね。
story somewhere, or
なんですぐ人のせいにしてんの、お
Why
じ
am I
さん。
asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right
お
here
じさ
just a
んが書い
minute
たの
ago.
か？
I know for sure that it's here somewhere.
じゃあ何、メルキーおじさんの手のひらの上でこう
It's an
転ってこと？
adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's
開けす
find
ぎ開け
the
すぎおじ
story.
さん。だってここドアなかったじゃん。ドジっ子おじさんにりょうちゃんもニッコニコじゃん。じゃあちょっととりあえずこっち入るよ。これ戻るんじゃない？
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again? Well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
ちょっとまだ見てたのに。証券のさんちゃんいらっしゃい。おじいちゃんまたこんなことちゃんとできたわけ？行くよおじいちゃん。
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
おじさん再起動したの？おじいさん
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
まあ戻ってもいいけど、ドアないよ。どうするのおじさん。ドジっ子すぎるおじさん。可愛いけど。メロキ、みんながどこに行っちゃったか知りたいんだからしっかりしてよ。またお部屋戻んの
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
何見逃してたの逃しちゃおじいさんにスパありがとうやじゃいほらおじいさん逃ちゃんが優しいからおじいさんにお水ないんだよありがとうね逃ちゃんおじいさん俺いいなメロキ代わりにいただいてお水いただいとくからねおいしいありがとうのがちゃんいもこちゃんもいらっしゃい落ちていいのよおじいさんここメロキの部屋じゃなかったびっくりした人間かと思ったおじいさん行き止
No,
まり
wait.
だよ
Never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps. おじさん大丈夫大丈夫おじいさんだいぶ混乱してない汚い何ここおじいさんなんでこんなとこにも書類があるの Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job.
Good job じゃないよ
No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time. I have to restart.
おじさんの無理やりリスタート。
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost,
これがおじさん
I've
のソリュ
employed
ー
the
ション
help of the Stanley Parable adventure line.
アドベンチャーライン聞い
Just
てる。
follow the line. How simple is that?
苦肉の策だ。大丈夫これ落ちんの？まあいいけど分かりやすくて。合ってるこれ。425ちゃんだそれキャしてたの？合ってんのこれおじさん。かわいい。荷物にぶつかってる。
You see, the line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a
偉
thought.
そうだねおじ
Wouldn't
さん。
wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story?
おじさん混乱して
Simply by the act of
黄金に
moving
なってる。
forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was
ず
going
っ
with
と
all
ミュ
that.
ージなってるじゃんおじさん。
I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the
ま
mood.
た音楽流してる。あれだ。うるさいおじさん。まあいい音楽だけどちょっとボリューム上げてよおじさん。うるさいでしょ。あともうはしゃぎすぎじゃないの。やりたい放題やってるじゃん。遊びすぎです。おじさん混乱しすぎだよ。自分も何もかも見失ってる。おじさんすごいじゃん。こんな身体能力あったの？ちょっとみんなごめんおじさんうるさいから音量下げといて。ちょっとおじさん音量下げて。遊びやけくそだよこれ。こっちは何か行き止まり。おじさんもういい。うるさいでしょ。いらないでしょこの迂回に。なんなのこれ。おじさんの頭心配だよね。
Cut the music, go back and look at that fern. Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
本当？みんなこのシダ覚えといて。細いの葉っぱとちょっと太いの葉っぱが混ざってるしだ。本当？適当言ってんじゃないの？この子の何覚えとく？みんな覚えた？スクショした？じゃあ行くよ。おじさん見たよ。みんなにも見てもらった。
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No.
何？おじさんが線引いたんだよ。
You do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
そのメロディー進んじゃうよ。こっちは何？ここさっきのお部屋、最初のお部屋。まずい、どのラインだったか忘れちゃった。425ちゃんはさっき言ったこっち？こっちだっけ？おじさん合ってる？結局戻ってくるのか？
No, not again. Line, how could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... No, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
おじいさん。みんなごめん、もうおじさんがパニックになっちゃって。
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
何？こっち？合ってんの？
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
急に何おじいさん。二人でエキサイティングしようとか。大丈夫？おじしたえんの？回ってるよおじさん。何これ？二人の愛の迷宮だねとか言い出すの？おじさんとスタンリーちゃんのラビリンスだ。
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it. We should be fine.
かわいい。どうしても一緒にいたかったんだ。ラインちゃんおじさんが引いたんじゃなかったの？独自の血が思ってる。ラインちゃんどこ行くの？元気いっぱいだね。ラインちゃん？メロケも連れてってよ。おちよじゃないじゃん。これやっぱり神ゲーなんだ。メロケたち何も知らず。迷い込んだおじさんのご実家に巻き込まれてる。
We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay, so I know that each door has to lead somewhere. Which means that somewhere, the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
これがミキらしいよ。本当？おじさん合ってる？混乱エンドじゃ。おじさんやっぱ混乱してたんじゃ。
Oh, hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes? It's all determined? So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing. Wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this? Is it really... No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen? So, okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if you...
おじさんリスタートした？それともリスタートされちゃった？おじさんごとLINE なくなってる。元通り？さっきのはこんな変だ。戻ってきたの？
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
おじさんリセッ
Stanley
トされ
decided
て
to
る。
go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply
おじ
missed
さ
a
んの
memo.
システムなんだ。おじさんの血が本当におじさんのものなの？メロキーたち誰に操られてるの？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
とりあえず電話取らないで行ってみよう。
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
お
The
じさんはメ
lounge
ロ
was
キを操って
sublime,
るけ
a
ど、
work of
お
art.
じさんも
But
操ら
eager
れ
to
て
get back to
る。
business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
ここだ。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
お
fired
じさん
years
が台
ago.
本にあった悪口言ってる。本当はいい子なんじゃない？おじさんも。ここで飛び降りると、それもエンドになるの？
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot. But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Good job, Stanley. Everyone thinks you are very powerful. Someone was following Stanley. He was sure of it. If he checked over his shoulder now, he would surely catch them. It was only a matter of time.
誰かにつけられてんの？怖いでしょ。これ何？霊体ってこと？亡くなったことに気づいてない説ある？
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
右行ってみよう。あ、シュガーちゃんもいらっしゃい。メロキおじ
This
さ
was
んと
not the
頑
correct
張
way
っ
to
て
the
る。
meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first,
もうエン
just
ド
to
何個か
admire
見
it.
たけど。トールおじさんも見てる。ありがとう。
Standing now in this incredible room, Stanley but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
とりあえずこう来て。
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't 5 years
ここ
ago.
にします。
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
この彼女はミツリ
This
ー
is
ド
it,
な
Stanley.
の？
Your chance to redeem yourself. To put your work aside. To let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
それとも彼女って声の主ちゃんかな？とりあえず行くよ。
That's her,
出
Stanley.
ないでお利口
You
に
need
な
to
っ
be
て
the
な
one to do this, to reach out to her.
お水
If
飲
you
んで
can
待
truly
っと
place your faith in another, then pick up the phone.
おいしいおじさんメロキ電話出ないいるとしない知らない番号は出ないのみんな座って待つ歩き回って疲れちゃった知らない番号怖いよね番号検索してからじゃないと出れないひろきちゃんの可愛い声ちょっとでも聞きたいっていたずら電話だったら困るし確かにコンセント抜けるかな
As Stanley picked up the phone, a white light engulfed him, filling him not just with radiance, but with hope. Hope for a life reunited one... Wait. Oh, goodness. Stanley, did you just unplug the phone? No, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let
お
me
じさんも
double
知らなかっ
check.
たのまたチェックすんの
No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. Why had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person. I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back sack and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process. Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Ah, welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
メロキがビデオ見せられてる間に何があったの めちゃくちゃタバコ吸ってる。副流煙吸っちゃった。触れない。またイケアの倉庫だ。戻ってきた？戻るの
？Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
お家に返してくれるの？お家帰りたい。
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
現実の世界？本当？さっき見たやつって本当に現実だったのかな？あ、ちょっとお家に帰りたがるメロキ、かわいすぎな。
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too
お
late.
じさんでもこっちも行ってみよう。おじさん、バックヤード荒れてる？世界が崩壊し始めてる？戻ったよ。変わってない。じゃあしょうがないから左行ってあげる。またおじさんと茶番すんの？会議室。
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe after everything we talked about that you... My story! You've destroyed my work! Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone? Left here like so much garbage. It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
おじいちゃんやめて。怖い。無理やりおじさんだ。おじいちゃん。
I'm here. I'm still here. Here in this pile of rubbish. With you. You. Who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story.
If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make...
Just behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
でもおじさんそれさっきやったよ。おじさんも変化のある人生楽しんでこう。
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
おじさん
Just behave exactly as Stanley would.
どんな
That means
無理や
choosing
りになって
responsibly
き
and
てる
always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
今度は怒らないのおじさん。もう怒り疲れちゃった。AI アートみたいになってる。
No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back.
もうおじさん
Just behave exactly as Stanley would.
左し
That
か
means
許
choosing
さない
responsibly
の。
and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
まあいいけど。おじさん無理やりやと嫌われちゃうよ。人間には人間の意志ってもんがあるんだから。ちょっと片付けてある。
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
もうおじさん、自分の決めたストーリーしか許さないんだ。ほら来たよおじさん。こっち行くの？みんな緑になってるよ。開かない。なんで緑にしたのおじさん。このレイアウトも素敵だけど、パンダちゃんもここに来てる。
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
なんだっけ？ Nightshark 110.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Nightshark 115.
I'm sorry, is there a problem?
発音ダ
You
メ
didn't
だった
mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise, we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial
言っ
step.
たよおじいちゃん、言ったことにしてよ。
Okay, fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect.
The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
再現ビデオこれ
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay?
おじさんがいる場所
Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice. I need you to walk through the door.
変だ
Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important.
スタンリーの言葉
The story
通
needs
じなくなっ
you
た
to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose.
甘い言葉言ってる
Do something. Anything.
お寂しがっ
This
て
is
る
more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there?
エッチ猫なで声で甘えてる
It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice.
泣き落としだは
It's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to
ご
do.
めんねリロリエンド
Take as much time as you need.
エロキ戻ってきちゃったのおじいちゃんやけどな何おじいさんに詰められちゃってスタンリーちゃんいじけちゃったの
I can't wait to tell this story to my co-workers, Stanley thought. How amusing they'll find it. Oh, won't we all just laugh and laugh at the time I thought everyone had gone missing.
まだいじけてんのおじさん元気出せないよカッとなっちゃうことあるよニューコンテンツ
Oh, new content? What does that mean?
どういう意
New
味
content.
おじさんも知らないのこっちゃいけないのニューコンテンツ言ってみようあ、カッパちゃめらっちゃう寂しがりおじさんからのニューコンテンツだ新しいトルコちゃん新しいトルコちゃん
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
こんにちは
As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on
ちょうど
home
10年
computers.
前
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over. Please step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
ここから
Oh,
ユニ
well,
ット
this
が始
sounds
まるの
delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content.
めちゃんこワクワクしてる楽しみだねおじさん
Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
動かないよおじさん
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we
Ano,
be
kita na, no,
moving
di sa
somewhere? Oh, there we go.
Oh,
All right,
hajima na
finally,
po.
at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it! この怖いエレベーター、怖いマウントマッシュも思い出して怖い
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh,
文句言って大丈夫
let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
メロキがコンテンツおじさんにあげんの？おじさん台本もらってないの？
All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
ジャンプサークルニューコンテンツ？これがニューコンテンツ？ほんと？子供騙しすぎない？お酒でもいろじゃん。うれしい。ミルワクキラブありがとう。メロキウルトラニューコンテンツ楽しみちゅウルトラデラックスなんて言っといて、こんなゲームなの？なんかご褒美くれんの？メロキこんなに飛んだら体脂肪なくなっちゃう。またラーメン食べないと。何？終わったよ。もう飛べない。メロキにはもう飛べない。飛べないメロキは誰のメロキだ。
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
メロキだって聞きたいよ。ウルトラデラックスって金文字で書いてあったよ。あれだけこのフロア。
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
今度は何？ 30回スクワットとか？下どうなってんの？
That's it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's achievements, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test achievement, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
フレンド読みしてくる。おじさん怒ると勝手にリセットするんだよね。大丈夫おじさん、本当にリセットした？見るからに違うよ。いいのおじさん。ロキ行くよ。今度は何？ロキの部屋から見えた廊下の写真。
Psst. Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
怖い。何おじいちゃん。こっちは何？怖いから見に行くよ。さっきからマウントマッシブみたいで怖い。これおじさん飲んでたの？ここで何してたのおじさん？メロキ落ちて大丈夫？おじさん？よかった。またリセットするのかと思ったおじさん。
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
おじさんの小さな秘密？どれくらい小さくて可愛いか見てあげる？何これおじさん？おじさんが作ったの？おじさんこんなことできんの？
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
ここはおじさんの秘密の部屋？メモリーゾーン。お電話もある。
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013 when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
何かもらってる？おじさんの輝かしいメモリー。おじさんの輝かしいテレビ。おじさん、もともとのスタンリー過激派だ。おじさん、このゲームにいろんなものをかけてたんだ。これは何？倒れてるスタンリーちゃんにこの女の人はナレーションの人？これは？ハムちゃん？リトルスタンリーだ。リトルスタンリーじゃの？これだ。死んじゃったのロキたち。おじさんと一緒に死の世界へ。おじさんと座ってのんびりにするためのベンチだ。これおじさんと結婚エンドじゃない？何これ怖いでしょ。
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism. 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
おじさんが今のスタンリーパラブルを嘆いてる。戻ってきたの？あっちはオリジナルのその。こっちはメンテナンスだ。おじさんの思い出。おじさんの思い出エンド。
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
おじいさん、ここ行けないの？戻るの？
These were simpler times, Stanley.
おじいちゃんとの
But I
昔の
wouldn't give
話
to
ば
go
っか
back
りしなく
to
て
have
い
it
い
all
よ。
over again.
やり
Wait,
直さないの？
hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
行ってみる？おじいさん、これ何？外の世界？
Oh no. Oh God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor.
Steam
I haven't looked at
reviews?
these in years. I can't even imagine
Review
what's being
going down.
collected down here. Surely
Just
these
I'm
reviews were glowing
review.
as well, weren't they?
スチームだ。スチームのレビュー見てみよう。大丈夫そう？おじさん泣いちゃうようなレビューない？おすすめしてない。グッと消されてる。
Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Funny? I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
もうおじさん、いいものはアンチちゃんもついちゃうものだって。いろんな書物に書いてあったよ。ほら見て、さくやちゃんがおじいさんのこと好きとか、シラノスちゃんもおじいさんかわいそうとか言ってくれてるよ。見てみな、おじいさん。何この空模様、おじさんの心を表してる。
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, as someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley, I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. I always, well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did, but maybe it wasn't. Dear, what an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
またおじさんを傷つけるレビュー。
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded
おじさん
explanations
くど
of
いって
what's
言われて
happened.
る。
I
チャ
wish
ンネ
there
ル
was
で
a
も
skip button.
励ましてくれてるよ、おじさん。
A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
お客様の言いなりおじさん。おじさんもついに人の言いなりに。
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on. Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourish. Well, there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips to go poof, and it's all over. Oh, I can't wait to see what Cookie 9 will say about this. And with... Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes. It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room? I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere? A porthole? A sufficiently large crack in the wall? I'll take any of these. Stanley! Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of those walls 1,000 times, and there's no door, Stanley. There's no door. There's just you and the button, and if you keep pressing it, I have no idea what will happen. I have no idea how long I'll be made to sit here, and more than anything else, I don't know how to stop you from pressing the button again. I can't control anything in this room, Stanley. I can't touch it. And I have to believe, I have to know that sooner or later, no matter how much I plead with you, you're going to press the button again. Why would you? I've been thinking and thinking, and I don't know what I can do to convince you. Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks. I've been sitting here all that time, just sitting here, not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right? Me talking and you saying nothing. Would you think that it's exactly the same as always? Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing? Me just talking? But it isn't, Stanley. It isn't the same at all. It isn't even close. Because I know you can't hear me once you push that button. That's what I'm realizing now, Stanley. I'm realizing that I needed to know that someone was listening. I needed there to be a vessel through which my words were moving. It was the vessel I needed, Stanley. Not the outcomes, not the story. None of that matters anymore. I'll give it all up. I'll give up every branching path. I'll burn my story to the ground. One single... Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time, I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I know.
が落ちてる。何の音？おじいさんの心電図？おじいさん？おじいさんどこ行ったの？
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then he's talking.
疲れて黙ってる？おじいさん？おじさんも気が狂っちゃってるよ。おじいさん。もう一回押してみよう。押すしかない。
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
おじさん壊れちゃってる。どうしたらいいの？あやわこれボタンが諸悪の根源だ。正常なおじさんを返して。何の音？雨漏り？おじいさん？雨漏りして崩壊してる？おじさん出れんじゃない？暗いですよ。風も吹いてるし。おじいさん？おじいさん出れるよきっと。もう一回押す？おじいさん？朝だ。おじさんもう壊れちゃった？ロケたちは出れないの？やばい年月経っちゃってる。新たな命芽吹いてる。おじいさんがいなくなって数年。ここにも命が。夢？滅亡した？滅亡しちゃった？おじいちゃん。よかった、ボタンまだ生きてる。おしょ、怖いから。え？どうなってんの？傾いてる。外だ、砂浜。干からびてる。ずっと閉じ込められてたんだ。おじいさんはもうじゃやっぱり死んじゃった。おじいさん、ロケたちはどこへったくる？戻ってきておじいさん。おじいさん。地球が、人類が滅亡だ。人類滅亡エンドだった。帰ってきた。おじいさんいる？おじいさん？おじい
All
さ
of
ん？
his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
よかった、おじさん戻ってきたんだ。おかえり、おじさん。いじめてごめんね。またニューコンテンツだ。ニューコンテンツだ。じゃあせっかくだからニューコンテンツ言っとく。
Oh, good. You noticed my sign.
おじさんが作っ
Yes,
たの？
I have something very exciting to show you.
また作ったの？これさっきと同じやつ？今度は何？今度は楽しいディズニーランドなしだ。エレベーター？
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever the Stanley Parable 2.
2来たは？ 2 だ！やった！ 2 だ！おじさんやったね！ウルトラデラックス
Yes,
と
you
飛び越
see,
えて。
isn't this far superior to a measly re-release with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been
どこにで
asking
も行け
for.
るの？自動販売機もなんか綺麗になってる。オフィスもかっこ
Calling
いい。
it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think?
まあ確かにね。
Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
フランチャイズしちゃうの？しっかりしてんね、おじさん。これが2？自動だ。スタンリーちゃんが2人いる。そういうこと？2って。
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be. But let's take a look at some of the features I've
2
been
の書き
developing
方で
for
迷
it.
ってるやん、かわい
I
い。
figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
魔法？すごい。おじさん一人で準備したの？すご
Here
い。
we are. Go on, try out some of the
新
new
機能ある
features.
の？ T シャツも売ってる。あ、すごい。右脳と左脳で分かれてる。欲しい。どれに着ようかな。メロキーかわいい。右脳と左脳 T シャツと真ん中の緑のトゥフ。左下の方。グリフィンドールみたいなやつとピーチのやつください。あ、T シャツいいよね。これは何？スクショ NG だ。これがスタンリーちゃんの顔？どこから見るか迷っちゃう。999になってる。赤子がみな成長してる。 プレイしてる人の名前を言うボタン、ジャンプサークル、無限の穴編、無限の穴編見せて。どういうこと？スタンリーちゃんが2人で無限の穴になるの？インフィニティホール、これだ！インフィニティエッジ、俺失礼します。これが無限の穴？ほぐされてる。
Stanley, here's an idea that I'm truly fond of. It's never been done before in a video game. This is, in fact, a hole that you can fall down forever. That's right. Infinite fall. You can fall until the end of time, if you like. A stunning leap forward for video games as a medium.
なんてもの作ってんのおじさん。おじさんの無限穴蓋された。こっちはトロフィーだ。
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test achievement that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the achievement. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the achievement will be given to you. It's as simple as that.
くれるの？私ね、ください。
Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the achievement is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen.
おじさん実績ちょうだい。おじさんの2はまだ俯瞰でへん。
What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
この辺も見てないよ。これ何？
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no rewards for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life. God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
あっちの方にあったスクショ NG ってみよう。みんなスクショ NG だよ。
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Get Well Sunday がいいんじゃない？励まされるから。これしかないの？おじさんに閉じ込められた。こっちだ。Get Well Sunday にしよう。
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Happy 12th birthday, step-niece, it is.
おじいさん！ おじさんの性格変わってなくて安心した。なんでめんどくさいの？
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No.
メロディーの選んだ
I've
ポ
made
ジショ
my
ンでよか
decision.
っ
We're
た
moving
よ。
on.
こっち行ったっけ？こっちアナだ。こっちはジャンプサークルだ。念のためやっとく。
You know
もう
what?
出る
Let's
前だ。
bring the jump circle back for Stanley Parable 2 as well.
もうできないよ、お
wait.
じいさん。
You already spent all your jumps the first time we saw the jump circle. Oh well. I suppose it can just be a nice decorative piece
リ
then.
セットしといてよ。大丈夫本当に。ニューって書いてあるよ。
An epilogue would be fun, wouldn't it, Stanley? Yes, it would go at the end of the, well, we'll figure that out
終
later.
わったったなんなのこれ。おじさん適当すぎない？立派なだけで中身なさすぎだよ。
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game.
メロケの
Isn't
名前
that wonderful?
押してみるよ。
Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim. But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim.
メロケ今日か
I
ら
want
ジ
you
ム？
to
あ、
imagine
ジム
yourself
ちゃん
living
だ。
as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim,
メロケは
falling
ジ
in
ム
love
ちゃ
and
ん。
being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now?
まあメロケは
If
まあまあ
so,
ジ
then
ム。ジ
please step forward and press the button.
ムね。
Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
メロケはジムね。
It hits even harder the second
Jump over
time.
stick there.
If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be
価
worth
値
the
の
money.
高すぎで
Let's
しょ。
take a break from the gym button. I'm too emotionally
what
drained
the
from
gym
all of
button?
this personal validation.
感情的だったな、おじさん。何なの？おじさんのお遊びに付き合わされてる？まだある？
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
そうかもね。おじさんあとどこ行ったらいいの？こっちは？
A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless
確かに
despair
分か
in
りに
those
く
who
いし、
played
おじさん
it.
よく
Well,
喋るし。
I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a
あ、い
try.
た。ポケツちゃんじゃ。お借りします。どうしたのおじいさん？
Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on and on, don't they? All this and more awaits you in the Stanley Parable too.
これ持ってくる？でもメロキ魅力アップしちゃってる。でもメロキ可愛さ最初から感謝してるからね。
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game?
メロキバケッ
That
ト
really
ショー。
should be an award if it isn't already.
あとどこ見てない？セイジムって書いてある？こっちは行ったし。こっちも行った。あ、出口だ。こっち？お土産にバケツもらった？メロキお家でバケツプリン作る？
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now?
見たよ。まあ準備は頑張ったんじゃないおじいさん。みんなノースクリーンショットだよ。多分大したものな
So,
いけど。
Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2.
見せて見せて。
Well, I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind. Hold on. Let me do a different arrangement. Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go. Version 2.
もう変わってないね。
Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2." Let me see if I can whip something up. All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
できたの？お、2だ！ちょっと待って！みんな2始まるよ！2始めよう。もう12時過ぎたのに 2？ おじさんが頑張って作ったからちょっとやります。クリックするとスキップするの？
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on the desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in. as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
とりあえず出てみる？ちょっと風船かわいいね。
All of his co-workers were gone.
風船出しただけじゃん。
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it?
バケツちゃんいた？バケツちゃんいる？バケツちゃんおいで。
Stanley picked up the bucket.
バケツちゃん、おいしいプリンを産むんだよ。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
おじさんの言う通り行ってみる？まあ行ってみよう。おじさん言う通り来たよ。変わらない会
Still
議
no
し
one
ち
was
ゃ
here. Stanley needed the bucket's warmth and comfort now more than ever. Perhaps his boss's office was where he'd find
ちゃんと
answers.
心通わせてる。下の階
Coming
段
to
も
a
復活
staircase,
してる。
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
怖い。何これ。わっし、ちょっと見た見た。スタンリー人形ゲ
You
ット
found
だ。
one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these. Only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
おじさん話長いねまだ。嬉しいメロキゲット。今日結構楽しいじゃん。
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all.
バケツちゃんわかん
That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar
バケツちゃんに
reassurance
絶対
and
的な
comfort.
信頼を置いて
And
る。
that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of
繰り
course,
返されてる。
and now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him. Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket! Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket. Come to me, Stanley. Find me. He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he froze dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
メロキの中に？
It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
バケツちゃん？ 話な
This
の
is
こ
the
れ
story of a woman named
マリエラ
Mariella.
ちゃんの話
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and
Mariella
walked to
ちゃんの
her
バケ
place
ツ
of work.
これ
But on
は
this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the
美術
sidewalk.
館で見た絵だ
Right away, she knew what the
入
problem
コンテン
was.
ツだったの
This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the
バケ
first
ツ
place.
ちゃんだよね
How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
バク転で仕事場に戻ってってるマリエラちゃんすごいねおじさん何だったの今のおじさんの茶番まだ続くの
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean?
これまだ
Stanley
今日だ
decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
バケツちゃん持ってくる
Stanley lifted the bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this... No, never mind. The bucket was wrong.
何事もバケツちゃんのせ
Stanley
いに
took
し
the
て
door on
る
his left to go back to the meeting room.
バケツちゃんおいでこっちだよ
No,
Said the bucket.
don't go to the meeting room. Go somewhere else.
Buckets
The cargo lift, yes. Go there.
Buckets
Go to the
down.
cargo lift.
バケツちゃん
Good,
が喋って
Said
る
the bucket.
Now ride the lift all the way to the top. There's something up there I need you to do.
バケツちゃん
Stanley did not question why or how this bucket was speaking to him. It should have alarmed him, of course, because buckets can't talk. But Stanley chose not to think about this obvious fact. He was firmly convinced that the bucket had spoken to him, and he unthinkingly did whatever the bucket asked.
バケツちゃんメロキーたちを導いてくれるおいで
In here,
Said the bucket.
go into this dark room over here.
暗い
Stanley
部屋
once again obeyed blindly.
こっちあこれ
Now pick up the phone.
Said the bucket.
Pick up the phone, and it will take us back home, where we can go about life together.
本当メロキー電話に出るコンセントも抜かないバケツちゃんエンド見たはい自由意志をバケツちゃんに移されてるそれともおじさんがバケツになってるメロキーバケツちゃんとご結婚あ、ヨリカちゃんもいらっしゃい、こんばんは。メロキ一体何のゲームやってるのかわからないままトゥーやらされてる。バケツちゃんと暮らすの。バケツちゃんといると幸せになれるから。あと何秒待ってもいいの、バケツちゃん。最初からおタバコあったんだどうバケツちゃんどうしてもメロキに電話出てほしいのお手は止まらないのかな出ちゃうまた謎の部屋に入れられちゃう
This is the sad story of a man named Stanley and his bucket. Once upon a time, I gave Stanley a bucket because I thought he was lonely and could use a friend. And then, very distressingly, he began to believe the bucket could speak to him.
バケツちゃんは本当はおしゃべりしてないの？え？本当にお家に帰ってこれた？これスタンリーちゃんち？ハッピーエンド来たこれ。おいライちゃんもラブメロキ今日も可愛いです。あ、お仕事お中華レーダーはラブありがとう。メロキ新しい人生見つけた。ずっと職場で苦しんでたけどバケツちゃんと一緒に新しい生活だよ。ありがとうライちゃん。どこにも行けない。ここでバケツちゃんと暮らすんだ。ハロー下に僕だよ。君のバケツだよ。僕を君と戻すために V？ これやっぱあれじゃない。さっきと一緒だ。
The Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket was merely meant to provide the comforting glow of companionship. It doesn't literally talk and give you orders. Whatever Stanley is hearing the bucket say to him is just in his head.
バケツちゃんの声はもう中なの？バケツちゃんQ でお家帰れる？本当？おじさんが正しいの？バケツちゃんが正しいの？
Lately, I've been concerned about him. Wouldn't you be concerned as well? To see him delusional like this, obsessing over an inanimate metal object? I want to say something to him, but I don't know how I can convince him. I don't know if he'll listen to me.
おじさんスタンリーのこと心配してる？バケツちゃんに夢中になってるから。おじさん急にメロキの話しかけるのやめてよ。本題に戻る？
Oh, I'll try anyway. Stanley, can you hear me? Listen to me. It's just a bucket. It can't think,
これ
it
スタン
can't
リーちゃんの
talk.
糖質
All it
変
would
の？
ever truly do for you is effectively transfer a liquid from one location to a different location. That's it. It doesn't do anything
それ
else.
だけじゃない。プリンも作れる。おじさんバーサスバケツちゃんだ。
You see, he's not listening. He's still taking orders from the bucket. You know, once upon a time it was me he took orders from. Me he trusted and listened to. Now all he cares about is his awful bucket. This stupid hunk of metal.
おじさん怒ってる。バケツちゃんに役割取られてへん。おじバーサスバケツ。君の人生で僕以外全員を無視するためにワイワイして。やばい。バケツちゃんメンヘラ正常期だ。
It's sad, but I suppose he doesn't need me anymore.
おじさ
From
ん
now
が
on,
見
he's
せ
just
られ
going
て
to
る。
cling to this bucket, this cold, empty bucket, this sort of shiny bucket. Well, I'll give it this. The bucket
お
does
じ
have
さ
a
んも
nice
バケツ
shine
ちゃんに
to it.
魅了されてる。実在するって信じてるんだよね、スタンリー。実在しないのこのバケツちゃん。メロキたち幻覚見てる？
Yes, I suppose on closer inspection that it doesn't quite look like your average hardware store
まずいよ
bucket.
これ。
It's just a little more,
バケツちゃんの勝利だ。
sturdier, more capable of transporting liquid. Like it would be better at moving an amount of water from one room to another.
この同じ日を何度も繰り返せるよ。
Oh my God, what am I saying?
はい。
Better at carrying water from room to room. It's a bucket. It's literally just a bucket. Why do I feel some need to point out the ways in which it's so much more than just a regular bucket?
おじさん我に帰ってる？怖い。家へ仕事へ、家へ仕事へ、家へ帰るために Q どうして怖いバケツちゃん急に。
Oh no. I'm having feelings. For the bucket. No, 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 no. What's going on? Why do I want to be with the bucket? Hear what the bucket has to say. Do anything it asks. What's wrong with me? I don't understand. Perhaps if I had the bucket, this would be less confusing. Yes. The bucket could tell me what to do in this troublesome situation.
おじいさんまずいおじいさんもやられてる。バケツカルトだこれ。
Stanley, give me the bucket. Give it to me. Give me the bucket, Stanley. I need it. Give it to me now. Give it or I'll...
目を閉じる。ボトル。バケツちゃん怖いじゃん。これもしかしてやめないとずっと続く。
Already this was uncomfortable, and Stanley decided that as soon as he found a new space he felt safe in, that he would never leave it again in his life.
今回はバケツちゃんやねよ。
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
左行ってみよう。そのこと考えてる？そのゲーム会議だ。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. The moment he entered his manager's office, Stanley froze in his tracks. Not a living soul anywhere. Could he really be all alone? This was too much for Stanley to take. Too much for any man to take. He fell to his knees, bursting into half moans, half sobs, the guttural retching of life from a man denied any hope, any reason to keep going. Here on the floor, he lay prone, paralyzed by fear for nearly a full hour. But when at last he began to move about and survey the situation, he found a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could it mean? Was it a sign of hope for Stanley's future? Alas, it was not. For although this keypad guarded the terrible secret of Stanley's past, it had been assigned a 4-digit code so devious and so random that no man could ever hope to guess it. 2845. Statistically, nearly yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway. Another miniature Stanley figurine. This, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs. What about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt.
嬉しいです。待て、ラムゲット。じゃあ行くよ。静電気も一緒。
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
ロキ、そもそもこの1のみんながなぜ消えたのかを知らないまま2に来ちゃってるけど大丈夫かな？みんなは結局何？40名だったってこと？
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? Here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself? Is that what you wanted? Control? Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are set to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Ah, now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated. All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to me. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why do you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? one soul? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless, to see you made humble. This is not a challenge, it's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom has happened. No ending, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say happily ever after.
やられちゃった。ロケ爆発。これもしかしてやめるまでずっと続く？待って電話来てない？さっき来てた
？Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
かけ直してって言ってた？
The confusion and the chaos all seemed to melt away as Stanley embraced the bucket. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room, and so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
音のドアだ。さっきやったやつやってみよう、バケツちゃん持って。
I'm glad you found your way here. I knew you'd find this place eventually. You see, your friends and I are concerned for you, Stanley. We've come together here because we care about you very much. It's this bucket you're carrying around everywhere. The bucket isn't even from the original Stanley Parable. It's just sequel content. We're the ones that matter, Stanley. Classic characters from the first game, like the Adventure Line and the Broom Closet. Because that's what fans want from a sequel. They want more of their favorite jokes, not this bucket that they've never seen before. Yes, I know I'm the one who gave you the bucket, but you're spending too much time with it. Don't you want another story involving the Adventure Line? We could make the Adventure Line go somewhere new. Yes, yes, that's what the fans want. Let's do it. Whee! Look at that wacky line. Who knows where it'll go off to next? Oh, and it played some silly music as well.
またミュージック来るの？まただ。爆音で失礼します。ちょっとおじさんが。
Now this is what the Stanley Parable is all about. Don't you remember all those great jokes from the original dialogue?
Stanley is addicted to drugs and hookers.
Yes, it's as classic now as it was back then. Let's do it for the fans, Stanley. Let's give them more content exactly like this. But if we want to do that, you're going to have to give something up.
Don't
you get it, Stanley? We need to get rid of the bucket. That's why I'm very proud to introduce a brand new character. This is the Bucket Destroyer. I think it'll make a wonderful new addition to the rich lore of the Stanley Parable. True, it also was not in the original game, but it's such a well-fleshed-out character with so much personality that to me it already feels as though it's been part of the cast all along. Don't you agree? Can you guess what the Bucket Destroyer does? Surely you don't need me to spell it out for you. Go ahead now, Stanley. Say goodbye to the bucket, and then pop it into the machine when you're ready. Now listen to me. It's crucial that you give it the bucket. I don't know what the Bucket Destroyer will do if it can't destroy your bucket. Destroying buckets is all it knows. That is its singular personality trait. Sure, I can hear you saying, how does a character with only one personality trait deserve to join the pantheon of beloved Stanley Parable characters? Well, you see, if you were to really explore the Bucket Destroyer, you would see that its desire to crush buckets is so densely loaded with complexity and nuance that it's really like 10 personality traits. What other object in this game can you even say that about? The broom closet? Certainly not. I wonder what sort of Bucket Destroyer merchandise the fans will be clamoring for after this. Okay, the Bucket Destroyer is getting very upset now. You'll have to hurry and feed it. We can't get back to the classic Stanley Parable characters like the Adventure Line or the Bucket Destroyer until you crush that damn bucket. Quickly now, the fans are waiting. Do it, the fans, Stanley. Give the fans what they want. Hurry and... The Bucket Destroyer, my prized creation. You had so much potential. We were going to do such marvelous things with you, tell such spellbinding stories about you. All of it squandered now. Goodbye, new friend. For the moment in time that you were here, you were magnificent.
カオスだよね。おじさん遊びすぎだよ。じゃあもう一回だけやってやめよう。
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
おじさんの無限地獄だね。例えばバケツちゃんいなくなった？まだだっけ？ここいなかったバケツちゃん。あ、ここだ。まだいる。勝利のバケツちゃん。バケツちゃん一緒行く？
Warmth spread through Stanley's arms. With the bucket in his arms again, he was home.
おじい。
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
まあいいけど。じゃあ最後にバケツちゃん持ってお外行ってみよう。
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
じゃいけないのおじさん。いける？パンダちゃんおかわりな。はい。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him, always. The bucket would. And he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
2845のありがとう、じいた。
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical
バケツちゃんの可
explanation.
能性について喋ってる。降りて。ここからの何でもねえ。
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. Soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
バケツちゃんはメロケたちのためにここにいる。
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read,
行くよ。
Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television
今
screens.
度こそちょっと
What
出る。
horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves.
あ、もういいの？
The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be
バ
fine.
ケツちゃん泣き出しそうになってる。メロケたちいるからね、バケツちゃん。バケツちゃん初体験だ。
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place? These questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind.
それは盲点だった。
No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket.
バケツちゃん、行くよ。
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world.
今度こそ行く
They
よ。
high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking
あ、かわい
down
い
the
な、ま。
system.
いきバケツちゃんだ。じゃあ行くよ。スイッチ、オフ。
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive
あ、
door.
話し合って
The
もこれ
bucket
から
wanted to
の
learn
時
to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end.
あ、自
True,
由
it was a
だ。
simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support.
バケツちゃん。エンドだ。
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door
もう
stopped?
開かないの？
Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
二人の新生活始まるっ
An
てのに。
unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty. Until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave.
Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place. Not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms. Not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room. But at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
バケツちゃんとアピールできなかった。ちょっと待って。風船ちゃんなくなってる？これ2終わったってこと？確認だけしよう。あ、待って。バケツちゃんはいるじゃん。どこでどうしたのバケツちゃん。
Stanley picked up the bucket and smiled. He'd never be alone again, not truly alone, not with the bucket around. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
もう一人いっぱい入ったよ。ちょっと待って、メロキー。今日は内緒のサイト用意してたの？これはウルトラデラックスじゃないけど、最初にあったスタンリーパラブルのエンド一覧。こんなにいるんだ。エンドがあるの？もう戻れない。ミルキーがやろうと思ったエンド戻れない。ちょっとこれ見て、やったことないのやってみる？これやってみる？
Stanley just stood there doing nothing at all. He seems to think I have nothing better to do with my time than to sit around and describe every fascinating little detail of his inability to do anything. This is why Stanley and I are on such good terms.
部屋の外に出るんだってどういうこと？まずジョイスちゃんの部屋行こう。ジョイスちゃんの部屋に入ってドアが閉まる前にお外に行けるかな？やっぱり
Coming
動
to
機いっ
the
ぱいあ
staircase,
る。
Stanley and the bucket walked
最後に一個だ
upstairs
け
to the
やろう。
boss's office.
メルキーの周りも全然見えないし、うちの人まで来ちゃったし、ここのドアのこと入って。早く閉めて。
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human
なん
life.
で早いの？
Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an
途中からできる？最初から
emotional
になっちゃ
dumpster
う。
fire, if not for the soothing presence of the
難
bucket.
しいんだね。
Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable. At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
2845? 5.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
こう来て。こう来て。
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet a violent death. The door behind them was not shut. Stanley and the bucket still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley and the bucket were knowingly walking forward into a very painful death for each of them. As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley and the bucket inched closer to their demise, Stanley reflected on how meaningless the bucket's warmth and comfort had turned out to be. To be sure, it puts the mind and the soul at ease to embrace the bucket, but what use is a sense of ease when you're about to be crushed to death? This is what Stanley thought to himself, and he sort of kicked himself for wasting so much time carrying a bucket everywhere. Farewell, Stanley.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley and the bucket were led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, the bucket's life came to an end, as it was crushed violently to death. It was a shame, the death of such a magnificent bucket. It's true that all buckets are radiant in their own way, but this one stood above the rest. It was a glorious bucket to behold. Can you see how arrogant it was for Stanley to take a bucket like this and to claim it for his own? Can you see the hubris that blinded him? Can you see that the bucket is far more noble than Stanley will ever be in his short life? No man can own a bucket, and certainly not a bucket as dazzling to behold as this one. It is man who should kneel before the bucket. But there is something we can do. Something we can do together, you and I, that will right this terrible wrong. Let Stanley die. Let him be crushed by the machine. Don't reset the game. Don't give him another opportunity to run off with another beautiful bucket. We can save the world's buckets from their treatment. As tools and implements, if only we let.
金はする？何それ？普通になってる？もうメロキはワンには戻れない。怖かったよね。ありがとう、楽しんでくれて。さとめるちゃん、ディアロキューテつーちゃん、カッパちゃん、ちよちゃん、カマタンちゃん、ショーカッツちゃん、あ、ミハシちゃん、ママ、白の下にダビオジも眠気ちゃんもだ。ありがとう、来てくれて。あれへあ、ダメ、ドールちゃんもありがとう。ヨリカちゃんも。やだ、神はバケツあれと言われた。するとバケツがあった。ドールちゃんもやられてるじゃん、バケツに。あたぞがれちゃんもありがとう。よかった、デラックス楽しんでくれてありがとうね。メロキこれもう考察みたいの見ていいの？さっきの上司ちゃんの部屋抜け出すエンドも気になるけど、何だったのかよくわかんないから見ちゃうと思います。こんなにおじさんと遊ぶゲームだったの実は。おじさんにもて遊ばれた。あ、であるけどデートでもやってみて。おじさんにイケボでささやかれちゃって。見てもよさそう。ありがとう。メロキちょっとおじさんのメロキへの語りかけばっかりで気になるから見ちゃう。ありがとう、教えてくれて見ちゃう。そこまで見てくれたみんなもありがとうね。ありがとう、メロキ頑張りました。おじさんと遊ぶゲームだと思わなかった。じゃあね、みんなおやすみロキ。お仕事のみんなも明日頑張ってね。おやすみのみんなは楽しんじゃってね。メロキちょっとインターネットちゃんとおしゃべりして具合もっと直してもらいます。じゃあね、みんなおやすみロキだよ。またね。よね。ありがとう、ラブ。それちょっと待って、マウスちゃんどうしたの？よかった、マウスちゃんまでバケツちゃんにやられたかと思った。あ、コナちゃんもありがとう。おやすみロキ。それ